Please go to Finnegans Wake Notes.net for a full explanation of the text, and please don't forget to hit the like button.
Welcome to episode 30 of the Reading Finnegans Wake in 200 Sessions podcast, where we analyze Finnegans Wake by James Joyce 3 pages at a time. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment to support us.
Today we're really jumping into the deep end, tackling some incredibly dense but crucial pages from James Joyce's Finnegans Wake. We're looking at pages 96, line 26, through to 100, line 4.
Yeah, these pages were shared with us, and they get right to the heart of one of the biggest questions in the book: what actually became of the ancestor figure? HCE, Humphrey Chimpton Earwicker, his disappearance, his supposed death. It's all here.
It really is.
Yep.
This section is like Joyce took every rumor, every newspaper report, every bit of gossip, every historical parallel about HCE's fall, and just threw them into a blender.
Right. So our mission today for you listening is to try and, well, make some sense of this chaos. We want to give you a clearer picture of what Joyce is doing with language, history, and myth to describe how this character somehow endures even through death.
And that's the key thing to hold on to, I think. HEC isn't just a character who lives and dies. He represents a cycle of accusation, disappearance, rumor, supposed death, and then, somehow, reappearance. The confusion isn't a bug, it's the feature.
Okay, let's get started then. Page 96, line 26. Joyce doesn't even begin with the story, does he? He starts with this question about evidence itself.
Exactly. He jumps right in asking if framing up of such figments in the evidential order could somehow possibly bring the true truth to light.
Figments, so lies, fabrications, maybe even just mistakes, using those to find the true truth. That sounds incredibly backward, doesn't it?
It does, but it's kind of fundamental to how the wake works and maybe how we understand history too, When you're drowning in contradictory stories, maybe the pattern formed by all the rumors, all the mistakes, the figments, is what accidentally points you towards a deeper reality.
Like finding truth through constructive error.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It suggests that maybe a single perfectly accurate report wouldn't capture the whole picture. You need the mess.
And he gives us analogies for this right away. The first one, it's quite poetic, about a dim seer's setting of a star chart.
Uh-huh. And this seer, who isn't even necessarily that good at dim seer, they accidentally uncover an unknown body in the fields of blue. A new star or constellation.
How? By messing up the chart.
Exactly. By misplacing the known stars, by drawing the lines wrong between the dots we always connect, they stumble upon a new pattern. It's discovery through error, by the magic hand of chance, as the text says.
Which is just perfect for HCE, isn't it? Everyone's trying to chart his downfall using the known facts, but maybe the errors in their stories are what will reveal his actual enduring state.
Precisely. And the second analogy immediately links this idea to how language itself might have started. Language evolving forehearingly from a funner's stutter.
A funner's stutter. Linking a father's stutter, maybe, to the sound of thunder.
Yes, that's the clear connection. It's a direct nod to Giambattista Vico, whose cyclical theory of history underpins the whole book. Vico thought early human language came from onomatopoeia, especially from imitating natural sounds like Thunder Jupiter's divine stutter, if you like.
So just like language potentially grew out of these primitive, maybe mistaken imitations of sound.
Maybe the confusing mess of rumors about HCE is actually laying the foundation for understanding his real legacy.
Yeah.
Error is baked into discovery, into language itself.
Okay, so error leads to truth. And this philosophical intro leads directly to the big claim about HCE, that our ancestor bestly saved his brush by playing Possum.
That's the absolute core of it for this section. He faked it. He feigned death or total collapse like an opossum does to survive, saving his brush, his tail, his life, his future. This act of strategic disappearance is the key.
And right after stating this core deception, Joyce throws in that very famous Latin phrase, but kind of mockingly, Securus Judicat Orbis terrarum.
The verdict of the whole world is conclusive. It's a quote from St. Augustine talking about the authority of the universal church. But here, pure irony.
Because the whole world has reached a verdict on HCE that he's finished, disgraced, dead.
Right. But we know, or the text suggests we know, that this conclusive verdict is based entirely on his successful trick. He played Possum, and the world fell for it. They judged conclusively, but they judged wrong.
It's the perfect setup. HCE isn't gone. He's just kicked off this massive, chaotic public reaction, which leads us straight into the hunt.
Yes, the scene shifts immediately. Suddenly we're in the middle of this frantic fox hunt. HCE is the fox, Reynard, the classic trickster figure.
And it's not just a local chase. The description says gun dogs of all breeds were beagling with renounced Urbi and Dorbic bugles.
That Urbi et Orbi is key, to the city and to the world. It's the formula used for papal blessings, making this a universal proclamation. The hunt, the disgrace, it's broadcast everywhere. It's total.
And the hunting details are specific too. The hounds run on a scent breast high. What does that mean exactly?
It's hunting jargon. It means the scent is incredibly fresh and strong, so the dogs don't need to put their noses right down to the ground. They can run flat out, heads high, eager for the kill. The worry.
The worry, the final capture. But what really strikes me is how Joyce grounds this epic, almost mythic chase in real Irish places. County Meath Townlands, Raytoth, Malinahob, Tankardstown.
It's a classic Joycean move, isn't it? Taking the universal archetype, the hunted outcast, and pinning it to a specific local map just north of Dublin. It makes the myth feel earthy, real.
And you pointed out something crucial about Raytoth, the starting point.
Yes, Raytoth was the birthplace of Richard Pigott.
The man who forged the letters that destroyed Charles Stewart Parnell, one of the biggest political betrayals in Irish history.
Exactly. So starting the chase there instantly connects HCE's persecution not just to ancient myths of hunted figures, but to a very specific, very painful moment of modern Irish treachery.
So HCE, the fox, bolts from his holt, his lair. And look who's chasing him. Mr. Lowenstyle Fitzurse, Lion's Share, son of Bear. That name just screams history.
Oh, absolutely. It's packed with meaning. Reginald Fitzurse, son of Bear, was famously one of the 4 Anglo-Norman knights who murdered Thomas Becket in Canterbury Cathedral back in the 12th century.
Wow, and legend connects Fitzurse to Ireland, doesn't it?
It does. The story goes that he fled to Ireland after the murder and founded the MacMahon clan. So this isn't just any hunt. It's the ancient, ongoing persecution of the native Irish figure, HCE, by the descendants of the Anglo-Norman invaders, Fitzurse, history repeating itself endlessly.
And HCE's trickery is described as Def Fuchsers Vulpanism, a mix of German and Italian foxes.
Right. It's German for fox. And Volpone is the title character from Ben Jonson's famous play, the guy who pretends to be dying to cheat his greedy heirs. HCE is that kind of cunning trickster. And the deaf part. In folklore, sometimes the fox's deafness helps him ignore the horns and hounds. He's tuning out the pursuit.
His deception is calculated, but his survival method gets, well, really strange. He's miraculously raven-fed and buoyed up on cream-clotted sherryness of cinnamon syllabub.
Huh. It's brilliant, isn't it? You have the biblical echo Elijah being fed by ravens in the wilderness, a miraculous survival. But what's the miracle food? This incredibly sweet, rich, delicate English dessert. Syllabub.
It's such a ridiculous contrast. Sacred survival meets sugary cream pudding.
That's the point, I think. The absurdity highlights the strangeness of his endurance. But the real mechanism isn't the syllabub, it's internal. The text talks about the re-education of his intestines.
And lists the 4 stomachs of a cow or a sheep, the rumen, reticulum, omossum, and abomasum.
He's turning himself into a ruminant, metaphorically. It suggests he's surviving not by fighting back or running faster, but by internal processing, digesting the ordeal, maybe. Fasting, dieting against the glues and gravies of the rich spa soakers, the people at health spas.
So he's surviving through internal resilience, through quiet endurance, and maybe a kind of fasting, while his pursuers are focused on superficial things. That's why they think Reynard is slow.
Exactly. He's not slow. He's just paused, hidden, working internally. But the text makes it clear the pressure on him is immense. Violence, virulence, and vituperation are trying to derail and depontify him.
Depontify, like removing a pope or a bridge builder, cutting off his authority, his connection.
Yes. And his apparent weakness. His hesitency, spelled H-E-S-I-T-E-N-C-Y.
That's specific misspelling. That's Pigott again, isn't it, from the Parnell case?
It is. Richard Pigott misspelled hesitency exactly like that during his testimony, exposing his forgery and bringing Parnell down. Parnell was often called the Fox.
So HCE's pause, his hesitancy, isn't just a moment of doubt. It links him directly to that catastrophic act of political betrayal that destroyed Ireland's uncrowned king. His escape isn't cowardly. It's the necessary retreat of a leader undermined from within.
And once he has retreated, once the fox has gone to ground, well, that's when the real chaos of contradictory reports begins.
Right, part 2. The search for the body starts, but all they find are ambiguous noises.
Yeah, they try to pin down signs of death using the senses. Did he yawn? No, just his stomach. Belch? Eruct? Nah, his liver. A smell, gush, or pung. Just his vitals, or his codpiece, maybe.
He's reduced to these disembodied internal sounds. Impossible to say if it's life or death throes.
Total ambiguity, which
Yeah.
is immediately followed by the first official report. He had laid violent hands on himself. Suicide.
And Joyce adds that detail about Fogger's newsletter, a real 16th century news source famous for, well, spreading rumors.
Exactly. It anchors this rumor in a long history of sensationalist gossip about the downfall of powerful figures. This kind of story isn't new.
But no sooner is the suicide reported than the story completely fragments. We get simultaneous death and life events happening during the Triduum.
That 3-day period, yeah, it echoes the Roman Saturnalia festival, but also the time between Christ's crucifixion and resurrection.
Yeah.
And what happens?
His sons, the Willingsons, are paraded publicly, maintaining the male line, the official memory. But at the same time, a daughter is born, the Jenny infanted the lass, and she's greeted with holly, ivy, mistletoe.
Pagan symbols of life and winter survival, right alongside the public mourning and the Christian time frame, death and birth, pagan and Christian, public ritual and private life, all happening at once. The cycle continues through his children, even as he's presumed dead.
Then the escape narrative comes back, but it's mixed with very specific contemporary stuff. He supposedly fled through a tunnel shored with bedboards.
But that fantastic detail. It's a direct reference to a real event from the 1920s. IRA prisoners escaping from Galway jail using actual bedboards to support their tunnel.
So the mythic ancestor escaping his exile is suddenly also a modern political prisoner breaking out of jail, past and present collapsing.
Always. And if that's not enough, another rumor places him immediately in Asia Major, reincarnated.
As Cornelius McGrath, the 18th century Irish giant.
The very same. A man famous simply for being enormous. It suggests HCE's presence, his legacy, keeps popping up in these exaggerated, larger-than-life forms. He can't just disappear quietly.
But wait a second. If he's trying to play Possum and hide, how can he be escaping through a tunnel and simultaneously reincarnating as a 7-foot giant, drawing crowds in Asia? It makes no sense.
Exactly. That's the joke, isn't it? He tries to hide, but his nature is just too contradictory, too expansive. He leaks out, which is why in Asia Minor, he exists as polar opposites at the same time.
Right. He's a rich Turk of the theater, throwing money, baby-astering at dancers.
Image of power, wealth, maybe even decadence.
And also a poor street Arab begging for tiny coins, paras pence.
The absolute lowest state of poverty and anonymity. He contains both extremes. His presence isn't one thing, it's this constant contradiction.
Okay, so from mythic escape and giantism, the rumors then swing back to more mundane causes of death, chirping over telegraph wires.
Yeah, suddenly it's much more ordinary. He was recalled and scrap-heaped by the maker, just died naturally, maybe after seeing his priest, the family Sagarth. Quiet, pious end.
Maybe not so pious. A vulgavarioveneral disease. Syphilis, maybe.
Seems likely. A disease that claimed to end right, closed his vicious circle, snap. That vicious circle idea is crucial to HCE, the repeating pattern of sin, fall, and return, and the disease closing his eye.
That feels personal for Joyce, with his own terrible eye problems.
It really does. It connects the ancestors' fall to very real, private suffering. But even that death isn't stable.
Because next, he apparently drowned, drunk, inebriated in a decorative lily pond, which sounds suspiciously like Lily Pons, the singer.
Absolutely. Trivial pop culture intruding on the grand tragedy. But even then, he doesn't stay dead. He's pulled out by Rodman's first dating hands from just 7 feet of water.
So he's the suicide who got saved, the drunk who drowned but didn't. It's impossible to know anything for sure.
And that's exactly where Joyce wants you. Utterly confused, unable to land on a single story. Which perfectly sets up the most ambiguous clue of all, the piece of wood.
Ah, yes. Mr. Whitlock, a workman, gives him a piece of wood on Umbrella Street. And suddenly, this simple object is everything.
It becomes the focal point for all the uncertainty. What words of power were spoken, like the hikau from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, secret words. What was the real meaning, the ekoname or agnomen? The gossip alone could make Gargansdub's earwag, all of Dublin listen.
And nobody can even agree on what the piece of wood is. It's rod-shaped, but what kind of rod? Batty says a conductor's baton. Hogan says a hud for carrying bricks. Here says a pencil sharpener. Cope and Bowl say it's part of a toy, a cup and ball.
Authority, manual labor, intellect, child's play. The object itself is neutral. All the meaning comes from who's looking and what they project onto it. It could be anything.
And this total breakdown of interpretation gets summed up in that German pun, ere a wage, narrow wage.
Cradle wage versus scales wage, birth versus judgment or death. The whole debate boils down to this wager. Is this whole HECE situation leading to new life, a cradle with a care in it? Or is it just finality, death, a casket with a kick behind?
Birth or death, creation or destruction, and Joyce gives us the answer, or maybe the non-answer. The war is in words, and the wood is the world.
Incredible line. The conflict isn't really about the physical object or even HCE himself. The conflict is the conflicting words, the different interpretations being thrown around. And the wood representing the physical world, the shared reality, is just the battlefield where this war of words takes place.
Wow. Okay, so even after that, where's the text go? Do we get any closer to a final verdict in part 3?
Well, the possibility of his survival, his cyclical return, definitely persists. Nature seems to testify to it. How for him chirrupeth every bird, from gold dawn glory to glowworm gleam.
From sunrise to sunset, the birds are singing for him, and gold dawn glory. That sounds like the Hermetic order of the Golden Dawn, doesn't it?
It certainly evokes it, linking his cycle to esoteric ideas of magic, rebirth, hidden knowledge, not just the natural world. He's described as the human pest who is cycling and recycling around Dublin.
He just won't go away, that vicious circle again. He keeps reappearing.
But never simply. There's a new, really bizarre rumor about a disguised ex-nun of huge stand-build and masculine manners. Cartulenta gigasta.
The fat giantess. Is that supposed to be HCE in drag?
It seems to be hinting at that or some kind of radical transformation. Carpulenta gigasta suggests corpulence, a giantess, maybe even Jocasta, Oedipus's mother wife, or Agdistis, the mythical hermaphrodite figure. HCE might be hiding by changing gender, becoming this huge, ambiguous figure, causing trouble with a homnibus, playing on omnibus, the vehicle, and omnibus with all men.
He's dissolving into everything. Male, female, giant, commoner. Then, finally, some physical evidence turns up. A coat or wallet. An Ortax Broer collector's budget.
Found near Scald Brothers Hole, which was apparently a real place in Old Dublin associated with thieves or outcasts.
Yeah.
And inside this wallet or coat,
A tailor's label. VPH Victoria Palace Hotel, Paris.
which is where James Joyce himself was living when he was writing parts of The Wake. He's inserting himself, the author, right into the evidence surrounding the ancestor's disappearance.
And finding this wallet immediately leads people to the most savage speculations about his end. Was he devoured by wolves, crappies, or fourpenny friars?
That list is chillingly historical. Wolves were genuinely a menace in older Ireland, with bounties on their heads. Crappies refers to the rebels of 1798, often hunted down, and fourpenny friars.
That refers to the bounty sometimes placed on the heads of Catholic priests during persecution times, doesn't it? The same price as a wolf's head.
Exactly. So his potential devourers are indistinct from the historical enemies of the Irish people, both animal and human. The line between savage nature and political violence blurs completely. The price for his head is the same whether he's seen as a beast or a priest.
This escalating violence seems to finally lead to a definite murder verdict. Something is nailed to his back door, his postern.
Yes, an inscription written in national cursive, so it looks official, Irish maybe,
Right.
but the whole context is described as bigotry.
Piggotry. Pigott again. Forgery, bigotry, maybe even purgatory. It signals straight away that this final verdict is probably bogus, a politically motivated lie.
And the inscription itself, pure political aggression disguised as rough slang. Move up, mumpty, make room for rumpty.
Which you identified as referring to the Irish Civil War period.
Right. Mike is Michael Collins, the assassinated leader. Mumpty might be W.T. Cosgrave, his initial successor. And Rumpty is Richard Mulcahy, who took over from Cosgrave. It's the language of violent political succession. Get out of the way, the new guy is here. Applied directly to H.D.'s fate. His murder mirrors the real-world killing of the modern Irish hero.
So the official verdict becomes there had been real murder, and the culprits, the MacMahon chaps, did it.
Which connects it to another real event, the MacMahon family murders in Belfast in 1922, a sectarian atrocity.
Yeah.
But it also loops all the way back to Reginald Fitzurse, the murderer of Beckett, who supposedly founded the MacMahon clan.
So the modern political murder is just the latest iteration of the ancient Anglo-Norman violence. It's inescapable.
It's presented as an eternal cycle of violence against this representative Irish figure. And the description of the body left behind is just dense with symbolism.
Yeah.
Lion with his dexter hand coop, resurrected in a pureed, palmy, bloody proper.
That sounds like heraldry, a coat of arms description.
It is. It's describing the Red Hand of Ulster, a hugely significant and contested symbol in Irish history. Dexter hand, right hand. Coup, cut off cleanly.
Yeah.
Resurrected, erect at the wrist. A palme, palm showing, and bloody proper in its natural red color.
So his corpse itself becomes a political banner, displaying the severed bloody red hand, linking his death to centuries of conflict in Ulster, and perhaps specifically to the O'Reilly clan, whose symbol it also is, and whose motto is Fortitudine et Prudentia, by fortitude and prudence.
His very body is turned into a symbol of that historical violence and division. It's a brutal, graphic end. Yet, even after that.
Even his supporters aren't totally convinced. They need to check the papers.
Right. They borrow copies of this wonderfully named fictional newspaper, Deep Lancey's Trilingual Triweekly, Scatterbrain's Afning Posht, just to double-check that HCE is genuinely quite Beetly dead.
Beetly dead, like a scarab beetle, the ancient Egyptian symbol of resurrection.
Exactly. Even when they're trying to confirm his absolute death, the language Joyce uses hints at the opposite, at his inevitable return. The cycle continues even in the words used to deny it.
So, after all that, the text poses one last, seemingly simple question. Was it death by land, wither by water? Where did it happen?
And the answer comes back, loud and clear, via transocean cables. The latter. The latter. By water. He's supposedly lying leagues deep in Bartholomew's Deep.
Which is a real place, isn't it? A massive trench in the Pacific Ocean.
It is. A place of immense depth and pressure. It sounds utterly final, drowned, sunk without trace in the deepest ocean, linking him perhaps to Macpherson's Ossian, the lamentations for the drowned hero. It feels like the definitive end.
But after everything we've just read, page after page of contradiction, rumor, escape, reincarnation, death by water doesn't really feel like an ending, does it?
Not in Joyce's world. Water is the ultimate symbol of flow, change, dissolution, and rebirth. Sinking into the depths almost guarantees he'll surface again somewhere else, sometime else, completing Vico's cycle one more time. It's an end that promises a beginning.
So let's try to wrap this up. We've journeyed through this incredible storm of stories about HCE. We started with that basic idea. He played Possum. He faked it.
Right. The hunted fox who used cunning internal resilience. Remember the syllabub and the four stomachs? And maybe even Pigott-like hesitancy to survive the historical chase led by figures like Fitzurse.
Then we plunged into that absolute chaos of rumors in part 2. Suicide, prisoner escape, giant in Asia, rich Turk, poor beggar, VD victim, rescued drunk. He was everything and nothing.
And that, we realized, is the point. You can't pin him down. The attempt to find a single true truth fails. The truth is the contradiction, the multitude of stories, like the piece of wood that meant something different to everyone.
The war is in words and the wood is the world. The reality is just the stage for our conflicting interpretations.
And even the apparently final violent murder verdicts linked to Michael Collins, the MacMahons, the Red Hand of Ulster, still contained hints of forgery, bigotry, and ended with him being Beetly dead and drowned in the regenerative ocean.
So for you listening, the takeaway from these pages isn't just confusion. It's Joyce showing how history and reputation are made through conflicting narratives, through gossip, through deliberate misinformation, and through the sheer impossibility of containing a figure as complex as HCE within one story. He's not a person. He's a recurring cycle.
We talked about that final wager. A cradle with a care in it or a casket with a kick behind. Is it life or death?
And given that the text insists the real battle is fought with words over a shared reality, the wood is the world, maybe we can leave you with this thought to chew on.
When you're trying to get well-informed about anything complex, history, politics, even just understanding another person, how much of the truth you find is actually shaped by the words available, by the pre-existing arguments, the recycled vocabulary,